Today we have in studio Mr. Well, it's actually, let's present my special co-host. I'm sorry, we'll get to you right now. Special co-host is Jaime Ramos.
Yes.
Some of you that have been listen to the old podcast, you guys remember we had a few things, right?
Couple appearances.
Yeah.
One
a live appearance.
The taco
Up in Smoke Taco event, and then we had a sports edition podcast. Yes. So special co-host for today, Jaime Ramos.
By the way, my prediction was right, but go ahead.
What prediction was that?
That the Lakers were not going to make the playoffs and that the Clippers did.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that kind of talk later on. But in studio today, we have Jamie's cousin, Paul Vazquez.
What's going on, everybody?
And Instagram, he's known as Paul_EV14. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Boom.
That's correct.
What's the EV for?
The EV's for my daughter, Ellie Vazquez.
Oh, Ellen Vazquez. Okay, nice. So you have a daughter, one kid?
Yeah, she's 5 years old right now.
5 years old.
Yeah.
There you go. And you're not from California. You're from, because we normally do like local podcasts.
Okay.
But we're making an exception for you because we hear that you're a big stud over there in New York.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be doing my thing out there. It's cool.
There you go.
So I'm from out there in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir.
How is it Brooklyn since you've been out here?
I mean, it's a big difference. It's a more slower pace out here, but the environment of getting to know certain areas is just as much similarities as New York City.
Yeah. What about weather?
Weather-wise, no. I mean, the warm climate over here is great. Right now in New York is very humid out there, so that's one thing I'm not really missing much about.
Yeah.
Out there, so it's like I'm definitely enjoying the California sun. Sure.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty great.
Yeah. From what Jamie used to tell me, it was like those summers are hot as fuck over there.
Oh, you could. I remember like August or whatever. You go shower and you ready to go out, and you go outside for 5 minutes and you're drenched and you're like, shit, I gotta go back inside.
I'm drenched right now, bro. It's hot here in California, but I'm sure not like
no. It'd be beaten off. We have the sweat marks and the whole nine.
It's like you're taking the shower just to get out and get dressed and you're ready to cardio.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good.
The one time I experienced something like that was in San Felipe, and that would be Baja California, right? So San Felipe is like, that's the kind of weather that you guys are describing. Humid, muggy. You get in there, you take a shower just to go out and just, again, sauna.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's nasty. I don't like that.
Yeah. No.
I'm assuming that would be something like Florida weather or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, similar.
The humidity, yeah.
You've been to Florida.
Yeah.
And you haven't?
I lived in Florida back in 2003.
Yeah.
For about, I want to say like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
I lived out there. The weather wasn't as bad. Similarities, excuse me. But the storm-wise, there's a lot of rain. A lot of rain out there.
Causing that extra humidity too, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't live out there though, right?
Florida?
Yeah.
No,
you just went out there visiting?
Yeah, my mom lived there for a little bit, so visit and my uncles. Yeah.
And you stayed there, what, 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, I stayed there about 6 to 9 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I was about 21 years old. I stood out there.
So now, you guys hear a lot of podcasts or whatever. You hear like people talk about crazy stories and they happen and say, what was that at Florida, or was that, it's always Florida, like crazy at so.
No, of course.
People are crazy in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Or from experience 6 to 9 months.
From experience, people are crazy out there, but I mean, living mostly in New York, I don't think.
What's the comparison then from New York to Florida?
I'd probably say more of like the open lifestyle, out there in New York. You have the transits out there, you have the subways, you have the buses, and it's more of like a claustrophobic environment. Everybody's so much like around each other.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Florida. I've seen some crazy incidents in Florida with like mostly driving. Like driving incidents, but compared to like New York City, especially the subway systems, it's like a jungle in there.
Yeah.
I remember going to school on the train and the bus, and it'd be hot like this, but humid, and then people are holding onto the rail, and then you're standing there, and then their armpit is just it's like putting off a fog. It's and you're like, you don't know how you like, how can I? Am I gonna survive?
But it's like you said, like it's a claustrophobic thing. Is it more accepted there in New York because you can't really? Well, you have to deal with it, right?
Yeah, because you have to deal with it.
You're going to work. You're going to school. You're not gonna wait for the next one because they're gonna be late. Yeah. So it's like pack it in.
Yeah, and then like over here, Southern California, we see it all the time. Like, fuck away from me! Don't touch me.
I've never been on the bus.
Here. Oh, you never been on the metro or anything like
that? Maybe the metro once going to like a Laker or a Clipper game.
Yeah,
I remember, but that was because we parked one, just to go a couple stops, but it's not the same. Yeah.
No, I've never been. I've never experienced like.
Yeah, you live here your whole life.
I've lived here my whole life, so I wouldn't know. But even to visit, like I want to go to New York, and eventually we'll make our way out there. But the transit system over there, the transportation system over there, I'm assuming is a lot more convenient.
Oh, as a tourist, that's all you're gonna. You're gonna ride the subway or mostly the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a tourist.
Well, but even you hear about the traffic in New York, but there's not too many people that. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that drive, but more people. I guess if they work in the city, they take the train.
There's a lot of people that drive, but they'd rather take the MTA, the subway system,
faster,
or the bus. It's a lot faster. Now they have the express buses, which skip through several boroughs. Like whenever you take it, it's a different cost of fee as opposed to the regular transit, but you get home faster. But it definitely beats driving home or driving to work.
I think they do that here, like people that work in Orange County and they live in Riverside or whatever. Because I've seen the buses. It's like I said, an express bus, like $2 or $3 from Riverside to Anaheim or something like that. Yeah,
that makes more sense
because you don't want to be on that 91 freeway.
No, I think you're starting to see a lot more public transportation here in Southern California. I think they're going to start pushing for it a lot more, especially because. Well, we see it in our work. There's a lot less, sales are down, car sales are down. So, yeah, it is what it is.
They were doing that thing to the fair we did a couple years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
that was the first time I've taken the bus.
Oh, yeah. That's funny, though, because, here, though, right? Here.
Yeah,
in Southern California. Yeah. I don't know. How is it that you transport when you're working out in the East Coast?
I take either the subway systems or I take an Uber. If I'm in a rush, I usually take an Uber or Lyft.
And what is it that you do out in the East Coast?
So in the East Coast
Brooklyn.
out there, my day job, I'm an electrician.
Okay.
And during my spare time, I always do personal training.
You lift?
Yeah.
Do you even lift, bro?
You even lift, bro?
I've been doing it for some time. Fitness and health has always been my passion.
Yeah.
There's something that's always clicked with me with it. And
when did it start for you?
It started for me around 2010.
Okay.
Before that, I was usually a street kid. I always played sports and stuff. But sports was my hobbies. It was always my thing to go to. But as I started getting older, I really wanted to find out something that was more beneficial for my health and something that could be long lasting for myself. As far as with helping others, and obviously when you're in the sports field, if it's something that you're not pursuing with yourself all the way, then it's something that you always have to, just take in this as a side thing, and fitness has been my thing since 2010. I probably want to say it was a little bit after my Miami trip. So I went on a Miami trip with a couple of my friends, and this was around the time when I was, really young and I was always partying and traveling.
You went to Florida.
And Florida. I went out there to Miami, and I experienced one crazy weekend to where I came back and I had some people tell me you're really skinny, you're partying too much, try to do something with yourself, gain some more weight and stuff. And then little did you know, literally a week later, I just started working out.
Yeah.
And I always had the genetics to be fit because I played sports for so many years. So lifting was, it was an okay thing during the beginning, and then once I started seeing the results, it's something that just grew on me.
Yeah. Like a drug.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's an addiction. Lifting, right?
Yeah.
Cause I wish I was addicted to lifting, and I still haven't. I have all the stuff in here, you can tell, but I hardly use that. I mostly hang things on it. It's like I lay clothes on and everything, but. I think it is an addiction. I think it's something that you're passionate about, and when you're addicted, it's a good addiction. It's not like a bad habit.
No, yeah, definitely. And nowadays, as you see on social media, it blew up.
Right.
Pretty much because a little after the time I started doing lifting, I started to want to experience more. So I hired my first coach. And he paid. I paid him for about a whole year for several supplement plans. Learn how to, learn the physics of gaining weight and managing your nutrition diets. So, after learning to do that, I wanted to get in a competitive mode, and then that's when I started doing competitions for men's physiques and weightlifting. And then from there on, after doing my first show, I was a little nervous at first. I didn't know what to expect, but. My first show was at Borough of Manhattan Community College.
Yeah.
And that's located in the city, and it hosts about like 3,000 people.
Wow.
So when I first did that, it was it was like a little nerve-wracking. But then like once I got the reaction from the crowd, and I placed third in my first show.
Wow. Out of 3,000.
Yeah. It really picked up a lot for me.
Do you have boys doing it with you that made it a little easier, or were you the only one?
No, I mean I was the shortest guy there. I mean, of course, but there's a lot of guys in there that that's been doing it for so many years before me, and everything. So it was more of like a height and weight class that fit me. But even still, there was like so many other competitors there that were in different classes that I could tell like their dedication to like lifting and just being in fit and healthy shape just is something that I really wanted to do with myself.
Yeah. And when you compete, does it go off of weight or is it off of height? And weight,
it goes off of height and weight.
Oh, height and weight.
Yeah.
Experience too, or not really?
Yeah, well, yeah, experience too. Sometimes it comes with age. So like, there'll be somebody in their mid 40s, but if they're in my height class, then they're still gonna put them with me.
Because there's not a separate. There's not enough people to make their own. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So the competing, are you still active in competing or?
I haven't competed in about 3 years. I want to say a little after I had my daughter. I took some time off of doing that because I was more focused on becoming a good father to my daughter and being in her presence, because there's times where when you're in competing mode and you have to diet, you have to focus a lot on your time with the gym. It takes a lot of time out of being a parent. So I felt like for me being a parent was more important, so I took a step down from it. But I mean, like, I still have the passion and drive to still compete again, and I still like help coach people and steer them in the right directions to want to do the same things that I did.
Yeah. So right now, are you coaching? So you're coaching more than you're competing because you haven't done it in 3 years. And how's it going? How's it going for you as far as clientele with coaches?
It goes good. I actually have right now. I have a legitimate. I want to say like 12 clients that I train.
Like in person, or you have other online clients?
In person, and they're online. So whenever I take my trips online, whenever I take my trips, I set them up with emails of programmed workouts or anything with nutrition. I had one competitor who was she was really big and she blew up. This was about like a year and a half ago.
Blew up good, not blew up like that, right?
No. She blew up good all through social media. Her performance with her results was just amazing, and she's pretty big on social media right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then off of that, you've gone to see some clientele?
And off of that,
because I'm sure she promotes
just
you, right?
off of that, just off of that, by her promoting me of who I was and how I helped her out, it helped me build my clientele even more.
Yeah.
And during that time, I wasn't even working for a gym, and then I started to work for Equinox, which it's very big. Well, it's very big out here in California, but it's also one of the best ones that they have in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I started promoting myself out there, and then I started building even more clientele with that. And it's been great.
Yeah.
Ever since I've taken some time off of it, but I still like as far as working for the gym, and I want to do like more of a personal thing for myself. But it's been like great.
And how have you been able to maintain your full-time job as an electrician and then doing this kind of on the side? Like, how difficult is that for you? Managing that time.
In the beginning, it was very difficult. But I was in a car accident. I want to say a little less than 2 years ago, and with that, my electrical union they ended up giving me some time off. So with the time off of recovering from my injury, it gave me more time to focus on my passion since I had a lot of free time.
Okay. Yeah. Which was just the coaching part of it, right? Yeah. That's good. The competing, is that something that you still want to pursue? And then also, I'm sorry, and then also, not you're 35 years old. 34. I'm sorry, 34. Is there a different bracket that you're going to be under now because of the age?
No, it'll probably still be the same age bracket, because usually the age brackets always go from they usually vary from like 18 to whatever age, because it's usually based on the height and the weight class.
So the age is the least.
So the age is
not as important as the rest.
Yeah. So it never really matters.
But there is like a veterans.
Right?
They
masters or something.
They have a veterans and a masters. And usually sometimes like when I competed in one. My first one, they didn't have as many for the veterans, so they ended up just like adding 2 into mine, because it was like the same height and weight class.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And it was.
Yeah. And
It's
so
good.
that is something that you're still gonna pursue.
Yeah, no, I mean that's
competition.
something that I mean I actually talk to him about it sometimes. Like you know, like I miss doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would love to pursue it again. Like when the time comes for me to do it. You know, right now I have certain things in my path that I want to pursue goal wise. But I definitely want to see myself driving myself again to be on that stage.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I bet it is.
Is there like the Super Bowl of the competitions?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's the Mr. Olympia. I'm pretty
Oh, well,
sure
yeah,
use-
yeah.
All right.
use
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I think we
and,
talked about that earlier,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Olympia.
And I've learned, one of my coaches performed. He placed 5th and 6th in the Olympia, and then I mean that's not I don't see myself like competing at that high level, but
Yet?
it's no. I mean I think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's, it's in my dreams. But I definitely love the work. I definitely love the competitiveness of it. And what it takes to like just push yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Whether you make it or not, just it's just a goal alone, just achieving the work of dropping weight, it's somewhat of the depriving your body, when you go on those certain diets,
Yeah.
but the work in the end is just amazing.
How
And
important is the nutrition side of it?
it's very important, honestly. I mean it's just as important as what you put
Lifting
into the
it,
gym. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be considered, much with lifting. Right now, with myself, I consider myself more of a body weight trainer than I do with lifting.
Mhm.
I used to go very, very hard with lifting, and then once I studied more of the physics of just body weight training and managing your core, you see a lot of better results that way.
Yeah.
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 And
So it's more of shaping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you add, your nutritional value to it, it just works great.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's all about how much are you willing to discipline yourself from it.
You alluded earlier to the fact of how popular bodybuilding and the fitness in general has grown through social media.
Yeah.
What do you equate that to? Because I'd like to say that once and you know this because you did it too. CrossFit,
Mhm.
I think CrossFit just kind of blew up, but then a lot of people were kind of getting injured.
Oh yeah,
And let's just go around,
I got injured.
do the fitness thing and just work out instead. But I think CrossFit kind of just put the fitness thing in a whole nother level.
No, it definitely did. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never gotten into CrossFit too much. There's a couple things I do,
Yeah.
With CrossFit that works for me.
Like the type of workouts.
Yeah, but I never really got too much into CrossFit. That's more of a powerlifting standpoint, and that's not something that's always been favored into my field because as I stated, I've had car accidents and I've had surgeries, so my knees were never really favored for something for CrossFit.
Yeah.
But that's that. I mean, if I have a friend who was actually he was actually in the beginning with me with competing and personal training and bodybuilding, and then he just jump ship into CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I can see just how much stronger he is from the core value of those functional movements.
Mhm.
And I mean, it works for him, it works for certain people, and that's definitely something that you have to give a lot of respect to.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, which doesn't mean much, but with the thing with CrossFit is you're doing all these Olympic lifting, and you have to do a back squat 100 times or a thruster 100 times with this same weight. Your first rep to your 80th rep, you're not going to have the same form,
Right.
and that's when you can hurt yourself. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure people do it and do it all the time, but I think that's where it gets challenging for someone to stay healthy.
Right. It's funny because that's one of the things that I had mentioned to when Vic.
Mhm.
I had him on the old podcast, and we talked about that. And I asked him the injuries, and he said, what that came down to was it was so it took that it was just extreme, right? It just full throttle. Everybody was doing CrossFit,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they had coaches that were inexperienced and it was improper form.
Yeah.
And they weren't teaching them right, so that's why there was a lot.
You gotta
of
have a lot
injuries.
of back strength for that too.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And I think everybody opened in the gym and they just, they had the barely, certificate, whatever. And
Everybody was
they took a
becoming
weekend
coaches.
class and now they were coaching.
It was like the housing market back
Oh,
in
yeah.
2007. Like everybody was selling houses in 2007,
Yeah.
and then everybody lost it.
Yeah. Everybody was a realtor.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn, you said you were playing sports and you did all that stuff. Jamie mentioned to me that you were actually a hockey player, like a stud.
Yeah.
How was that?
So growing up, where I grew up at, first off, I was born and raised in Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York. For some time, probably won't say until I was about like 10 years old, and then I moved out of there into a smaller area called Borough Park.
Mm-hmm.
And around there, they didn't really have much. It was more of like a Jewish area and stuff, but they had a hockey rink like right down the block from where I lived. So I was always into basketball and stuff. Growing up, I used to watch my cousins play ball, and I used to want to follow them and stuff. But then I started to pursue hockey. I was like, I'll see what it is. And that's similar to my motivation of like lifting. Hockey was just almost everything for me.
Yeah.
I took hockey to a level that I probably taken longer than any other sport or gym to speak of. I played from 10 till I was 15. After those 15, after those first 5 years of like real hard work, I was noticed, and I got to be sponsored and playing some tournaments. And then from being in tournaments, it led me to traveling nationally, and I joined the team, and we played in several different states. We played in Canada, we played in Worldwide Sports Complex in Disney World. And that's something that like I could have really, that's something that I probably saw myself like really going the distance with.
Yeah.
But some people don't grow up, with that type of value to have the easy way in,
Mm-hmm.
To go to school and pay for school. I couldn't really afford it for school. My mother couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So it's something that I still always stuck with.
Yeah.
And it's something that I still stick with now.
Yeah. And then was that during high school, or was that out of high school?
The
hockey.
The hockey that was that was out of high school.
Out of high school.
Yeah.
And you were performing. So it wasn't like a junior division or anything.
No,
Like it was pro, like almost wow.
It was a semi inline pro hockey.
Inline, which meaning
roller hockey.
Roller hockey.
Yeah,
Okay.
roller hockey.
Did you ever do the ice hockey?
I played ice hockey for a couple years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nothing to really pursue myself out there because it's a different style of play compared to roller.
Yeah.
The ice is a lot different.
Yeah. So you guys were playing on the blacktop, and then a lot of
you're playing street ball versus gym ball or something.
Yeah.
Is roller hockey faster?
Or
what's the difference?
No, ice is a lot faster. Ice is a lot faster. There's nothing. There's compared to being on that from the blacktop.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain tile material that they have indoors that's just as fast. But it's a very big difference. When you're cutting corners or when you're stopping. It's very it's a big difference. And playing ice for years, it's very fun. It was always fun for me. But once I knew like the way I was going with my inline, and I knew that there was such a league with semi-pro players, that's something that I really pushed myself into getting. And I actually did when I was about when I was 18, and that's 3 years after my first 3 tournaments. My first 3 years of tournament play. And that's that put me and my team on the map.
Yeah.
New York Phantoms, by the way.
New York Phantoms.
New York Phantoms.
They still going strong?
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah. They
Nice.
are.
And do you still end up like chatting with some of them and some of the coaches or anything?
One of my best friends. He's still like the co-captain of the team, and he always asks me if I'm
ready to go.
If I'm ready to go, he's always asking me.
Trying to recruit.
And
it's
it's
like
crazy.
you put some mass on you. Let's get in here and start throwing some
I'm
shoulders.
telling you, I was like I was probably one of the top players in my division, just because I'm small, but I was really really fast.
Yeah.
I was really fast, and I always like growing up in whatever sport it was, I always learned to be a facilitator. So I was always good for like playmaking and setting up my guys to score.
Yeah. So when you did play ball, like basketball, you're like the point guard.
Yeah.
Feeding it out to this guy right here for the spot up shot.
Any serious injuries from the hockey days?
From my hockey days, I had a minor tear in my meniscus from playing hockey. That took me about a year and a half just to recover that. That was a pretty serious. Well, that was my first serious injury. But taught me a lot.
But you came back from that injury.
Yeah.
Can't play.
Yeah, it taught me a lot about working harder. At some point, during 19, 20 playing hockey, I felt like I had it all. I knew what I was doing, and then when I suffered my first injury, then I really had to see what it was like to try to recover and get back into that playing form, more if not better.
Right. Build the muscles around it. And everything.
When you're playing hockey, were you into any kind of fitness to like better yourself out there on the, playing?
No.
So you just
not really.
You just played and practice, and
I always just played, practice like that. That was my thing. Like you'd catch me.
Developing your skills more than
catch me in the rain, like pouring rain outdoors, practicing, skating, like whatever it took, just to get my form back. I mean, after my meniscus, after my minor meniscus injury, I didn't have any surgery, so it's not like I didn't really recover much from it. But just from the playing point of like pivoting and stopping, it took a long time.
We can see the twinkle in his eye when we bring up the hockey.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah, right? He's like, really,
That's my sport.
He's trying to get back into it, huh? Well, going back to what Jamie was saying about you trying other sports to kind of like better your sport or your talent of hockey, I think maybe another question would be, do you, now that you're into the fitness and you see the muscles and the developing, is there something that you would do different when you were performing in hockey that you think would help yourself or other players out right now?
Yeah, definitely, because I do have my certification in sports science, so it took me a while to really understand like the human anatomy and what things I could have done even better to maybe make my recovery a lot quicker. And anybody that that goes through those type of injuries, I'm real quick to put my input on how they should go about proceed
rehab.
With rehabbing.
Or even preventing, maybe, right?
Strengthen it to get to the because I tore my meniscus, but I just had surgery. I went the easy way out.
And how's the post surgery for you?
Good. I don't have any symptoms. It feels great. I tore it, and remember the doctor said I had like it was bigger than what it was supposed to be, which actually made it weaker, so they just took it out. From CrossFit.
That damn CrossFit. No, we don't want to throw any shade on CrossFitters, so they're good.
Not much more than we already did, but
So how was growing up in the East Coast? I remember Jamie telling me stories about how he used to go to school over there and they had the
metal
detectors, and I'm like, I'm sure that there's schools out here in Southern California that have metal detectors. I never went to any.
And that
like
was
that.
In the 90s.
And that was in junior high that you said,
no,
right?
No, that was high school. That was
high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, same thing, right? You experienced the same stuff, and how was it for you trying to stay away from that lifestyle?
I didn't even go to a bad school. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't the worst.
Yeah. So. Well, then you went to a Jewish community, Jewish school?
No. I mean, I was just in a Jewish area, but anything 5 blocks east, west, north or south, that's where it becomes the hood.
I think that's I think a misconception most people have about New York. It's like, you think the neighborhoods are huge. Mm-hmm. You could be in one little thing and it's all like the Hebrew writing and whatever. You go 2 blocks, it's totally different.
Oh,
it's a whole nother. But you guys are neighbors. It's not that. I think that's where you were thinking. It's like, no, you guys are on top of each other.
Yeah,
you guys, definitely on top of each other.
That's how close.
But the Jewish community. I mean, Paul lived around them longer than I did, but they're like a strong knit. Like they keep to themselves. Like they're they're all about helping themselves. You can't penetrate. You can't mess with them. Like because they're like no. We're doing our own thing to better ourselves.
Yeah. Well, how did you stay? Because I know Jamie, the way he stayed away from all that lifestyle, that hood lifestyle. Jamie left. He came to Southern California.
So part of the difference.
Or did you? I'm sorry. Did you escape from it?
So part of the differences between me and him was that he actually did the right thing and actually got away.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, it's all about how much you're willing to go. The distance with achieving yourself in school, with your education, with your goals. It's all about you and what you're willing to put in for yourself. Me, on the other hand, I grew up a little different. I grew up where most of my family wasn't close by one another after my grandmother passed away when I was like 16 years old, some of my family started scattering out, moving out the states and stuff. So me growing up young like that, and most of my cousins were leaving, and I didn't really have anyone. I saw myself, moving more towards like the street lifestyle. And I grew up, around the area is called Borough Park. That's where I lived, but like a couple blocks away, there's an area called Sunset Park. And if you're, I'm not sure you're familiar with it, but if you're a big basketball fan, there's a movie called Sunset Park.
You never seen that movie?
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, you gotta look it up.
Sunset Park.
Send it to you.
All right, yeah, send it to me.
Yeah.
And there's
a little song to it too.
It's pretty good.
There's a song for it?
Well, he laughed because he know. I'm not gonna sing it, by the way. But you have to do that on your own time.
It's very catchy.
We don't want YouTube to take us down.
But
They will flag us.
Yeah.
But it's a very. It's just basically a very street lifestyle.
Yeah.
Of mostly kids that either grow up without their mom or without their dad. And for me, I went to a junior high school a couple blocks away that was outside of that Jewish neighborhood. And it turned out to be a little bit of a neighborhood just of like a street lifestyle that is just mostly negative things that go on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I ended up just staying. I stayed in that area for a certain amount of time. I grew up with some friends that have made bad choices, but it certainly made me the person I am today. I actually had the chance to better myself when I moved to Pennsylvania when I was 14 to like 15, and I guess I still carried that Brooklyn street mentality in with me. And
to Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
when you were in Pennsylvania?
To Pennsylvania, and I ended up getting kicked out of school just for like bad behavior, and then I got put right back into that same neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
So
back to Brooklyn.
Back into Brooklyn, and growing up in that lifestyle, it was a little tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If it's something that you're not used to, with like always having your parents around, or always going to a guidance for like someone like your father, having that father figure there to like not be in control but like guide you the right way.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be looking towards your friends for that. And I'm saying that if you have your friends that are just as young as you, that are like 16, and you're going through the same things, then all you're really carrying with yourself is just like somewhat of a chaos.
Yeah.
Well,
especially if they don't have your best interest, it's just they're thinking about themselves.
They're kids just like you.
Exactly.
They're
also looking for the same guidance that you're
that's what I'm
looking
saying.
for.
And we're all just 16 and 7. You know what I mean? We're all 14, 15, 16. And the guidance that we have is whatever we think that we see now that's going on, during that time, that we think is exciting, whether it's violence or some type of gang activity, or just something that's within the street areas of what our parents can't control because they're either working so much, trying to do whatever they can to provide for us. Then it's just something that that we just go with.
Yeah.
And that's just part of how I grew up.
Yeah. Did you ever find yourself taking a wrong path at any point?
Yeah. Definitely did. I probably want to say like a little after my grandmother passed away, I probably saw myself in a more darker area. I didn't know how to handle emotion at the time.
Was grandma a big part of your life growing up? And everything?
Yeah, she was a big part of all of our lives.
She was a very big part.
Yeah, she was my great aunt. So it was my grandmother's sister was his grandmother.
Okay.
And she was like she was more of my caretaker.
Oh, that was her baby. Yeah. You couldn't fuck with Paul.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah. He was the youngest like cousin or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that was her baby. Yeah.
Wait, are you related to Greg at all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because he looks like kind of like Greg. Well, swollen Greg.
Ask Greg who his favorite cousin is. He'll tell you. He'll tell you.
I haven't talked to Greg in a long time, but when I see him,
he lives in Mississippi now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right.
That's my boy.
All right. So grandma, when she passed.
So like when she passed, I kind of found myself in a more darker place.
Mm-hmm.
More of a shutdown mode, and telling you even just a little before then, growing up without guidance of my proper guidance with my father and stuff. It's saw me sinking more into a downward space. And I probably want to say I first got in trouble when I was 19 years old. 19 years old, I called myself, wrong place, wrong time. I was in the corners, slinging and stuff with some friends, and I got arrested.
Oh,
yeah.
Got locked up?
Yeah, got locked up, and You know, that was my first time, you know, in juvenile detention, whatever. And it was only for a day, but, you know, you would think something like that would, you know, put a little bit of fear in you because it's just like, you know, I don't want to be there and stuff like that. But for me, for so many years before that, just growing up into that lifestyle, it didn't really seem like it was much to me. So I continued with the habit shortly after, you know, I got out. You know, after a day, it wasn't nothing. So I continued to do what I was doing, excuse me. And I still found myself, you know, making the wrong decisions. You know, and at the age of 20, you know, at the age of 20, you know, I got incarcerated. You know, I got arrested again. But this time,
same thing.
Yes, same thing. You know, I was slinging again, and this time, you know, I kind of put myself in the wrong situation because I had my daughter's mother with me. You know, and
but you didn't have your daughter at the time.
No. Okay. We were both young. You know, and I had her with me, and I ended up, you know, this time it wasn't the wrong place, wrong time. I mean, it was for her, but it wasn't for me because I knew what I was doing. You know, and at the time I still made the decision to, you know, do something that, you know, that isn't within the norm of what people do these days. You know, obviously. Ended up doing about two years.
Oh wow.
Did 2 years. I was incarcerated for. And within that time, it took me a lot to really like understand the person, you know, I wanted to be and I wanted to change into. You know, and like since then, you know, I haven't returned, and I'm very thankful for it. It's been about 13 years now.
There you go.
A little bit after I came out, you know, I still made some bad decisions. I was still hanging around with some of the people that I was still hanging around with. But as far as like really getting back into what I was like doing before then, that led me into that. You know, I took time away from that, and I really wanted to focus more on myself. And then that's when I started getting more back into, you know, with hockey. And then, you know, I was working in the city. I had a major job, union job, even after being incarcerated, you know, with a record. I ended up like seeing my life being turned around.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, like, just made me, you know, it had, I mean, like, I still tell people the story till, you know, this day. I could see myself either, like, if I didn't get incarcerated and I was still doing what I was doing, I could have either seen myself dead or, you know, maybe doing something worse. You know, you never know. So, you know, shortly after my incarceration, you know, my life started to turn around. I was, you know, I found myself, you know, putting myself out there to you know, build a career for myself. Yeah. And, you know, I got my first job as a union worker, as a doorman in the city on Madison Avenue, which is like one of the most popular avenues to, you know, to be on in New York City. And I had a union job, which was great for me. Things were going great. Things was going great with me and my daughter's mother, who was still, you know, her and I were still together. And then after that, I transitioned myself into an electrical worker, and I started doing that. And yeah, throughout the years, sometimes I find myself still, you know, being in that, around that same crowd that you know, that I've associated with when I was growing up through junior high school, but making those heavy decisions that they made, I just haven't, you know, turned that page into being there.
Because you say that the change happened shortly after you got released from jail. Was there anything in those 2 years that you were locked up that planted the seed for you? Any guidance that you had? Any old timers like talking to you?
Yeah. Some of them were actually some of them were just telling me more about, you know, you know, if I didn't know what I wanted for myself, you know, now's the time by starting to read. And I started to read, and even if it wasn't, you know, reading about, you know, about things that's going to achieve your goals, it was more of like self-help books, because I didn't, you know, like I said, you know, growing up I didn't have much guidance. So, you know, I felt like, you know what, let me see what, you know, self-guidance can bring me if I read and stuff like that. And it started to, you know, make me feel confident about myself, about knowing, like, regardless if I'm young and I don't understand, you know, I have a long life to live, you know, and it's all about what I'm going to do for myself to put myself out there, and nobody's going to do it for me. You know, and I can't feel sorry for anybody else or myself, you know, if I continue to do things like this, you know. So, you know, like a little bit after that, and when I started to see my life going into that path, it's just something that, you know, I feel like it's a story that I'm grateful for to have with me, and to carry on, to just, you know, try to guide others that are either going in that path or have dealt with that path is something I can either relate with or, give an invoice on to not make sure, that you put yourself in that position.
Right. Now I'm thinking so your daughter's, what, 6 years old? Five years old.
She's 5 years old.
Does she know you were in jail?
Will
she understand that?
I'm pretty sure she would understand it now.
Yeah. Is that something that you'd be comfortable talking to her about?
Of course.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I hide from my daughter. Yeah. Even if she doesn't understand it, I would kind of repeat it to her just to make sure she would hear me saying it, and she'll repeat it. And then when the time comes, and if she asks why did I bring that up or why does she remember this, I'm more than open to give her my truth.
Because it seems like, like the way, because we both have kids, right? So all three of us have kids. That we did our time. We're some of us are still living our lives and trying to better ourselves, but now it's what the important thing is what we're passing on to our kids, to our children.
Yeah,
so something like that, like life experience is strong. I mean, it sucks and it's fortunate that you had to go through that stuff, but it's something that you can pass on to not only her but other people.
No, of course, and you're absolutely right. And you know what? I started to see it when my daughter turned 4. Mm-hmm. When she turned 4 and she started picking up certain habits of like just watching me do what I'm doing when she's not, like when I don't see her looking at me like doing something and she'll follow me doing it, I'll start to think like, wow, you know what, let me really start analyzing more about what I'm gonna do for myself for her to pick on to, because if she's gonna pick this up at 4 years old, then that's just something that like I need to focus on more, and that's that's something to piggyback on with the competing, or something that I said I wanted to take a break on more, is because I felt like I was always out of the picture of my daughter's life for several times, because I was always focused on more of like my passion, and then once I really started to understand more of like my daughter's presence in me feels better than me being out there pursuing for my own pleasures and dreams. That's something that I just started to target more like for her. And now it's like the relationship me and her have is amazing. Like she tells me all the time, like, Daddy, I want to work out with you. I want to go to the gym with you. Because like we have that great relationship. And I'll send her videos while I'm out here working out and doing jump ropes. And then whenever she'll FaceTime me, she'll start mimicking me. Like she'll have a jump rope and she'll try to jump rope. And she'll
So now these are the things that you're doing that she's repeating as opposed to when she was 4.
And it just makes me feel great, and it makes me want to do more. Like just continue to do more with myself, even with this fitness and health stuff. I feel like if this is something that my daughter would want to learn as she gets older, that's something that's great, because it's I feel like if I picked that up, as far as like learning health and nutrition at such a young age, I would just ride it out, and it's something that could definitely benefit me from a younger age to like to the age I am now.
And you're right, kids are like a little sponge, and they'll pick up on everything. So it is important that we're doing positive things, because they'll pick up on everything. They pick up on the negativity stuff too. So
people think, my daughter's only 4 months, but you see people say, well, they don't know. They don't like. They know.
Even at 4 and 6 months old, they're starting to build it already. And
they know.
But it is cool. All those stories, that everything that you're racking up, and this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, is that you can put it out there and it helps your memory, because as we know, our memory isn't always 100% accurate, right?
No, trust me. I probably want to say my memory is very accurate, especially like when it comes to the things I used to go through, like with like my cousins and stuff like that. Like, trust me, my memory is pretty accurate.
Paul was the younger one, so I mean, I guess we kind of picked on him, sort of. But it was, I mean, who does it? It was all love.
Pick on the little cousin.
Yeah, there was a story. You want to start it?
Yeah, no, you can start it.
Well, he's got the better memory, but I think you should start it, and then you can correct him.
Well, I can tell him what happened after, because he wasn't there. But go ahead.
You talking about the dentist?
Dentist
one? All right, so so if I'm not mistaken, like I told you, I always used to want to be like my cousins. I always used to want to follow them, be up their butt, see what they're doing, and just annoy them, just to feel like I'm part of their group. Whatever.
And all us cousins, we didn't have a lot of siblings or whatever, so like the cousins were more brother and sister.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were always around each other.
We were always around each other, and I remember one time, it was me and my cousins, and and I was telling them, if I'm not mistaken, it was something like, I bet, it was picking up off of this movie, Dennis the Menace. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so it was, it was basically just me, I used to love that movie and stuff like that. And I guess I must have used to, I guess I must have gotten it off of that movie because I was telling them, I bet you can't, tie me up.
Oh, I bet I could get out.
Oh, okay. I bet I could get out if you guys tie me up. I guess, the whole Macaulay Culkin thing, growing up and stuff like that.
You see all
you know what? I felt like I was that cool kid to do all those, things at their age too, because,
He's watching The Last Dragon. The guy was like getting out of the room.
So I ended up doing that, and that's probably something I probably still regret to this day.
They tied you up?
Yeah.
So I'll pick it up from here. So I remember. So he said that, and then got the rope, and then just had him standing, on the cement in the backyard, and I tied him up like they did. If you remember the movie, Dennis the Menace, told the hobo the same thing. Oh, I could tie you up. You're not gonna get out. And I just remember the movie, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna tie the feet up separate, tie the hands up separate, and connect them. Yeah. And so I remember tying the feet up, and then I went to like tug on the rope. Meanwhile he's standing straight up, but he's tied up. He can't move. I
think I remember you telling me this story.
Yeah. and so I tugged on the rope to make it tight. Yeah. But I swept his feet up from under him, and he didn't have his hands because I had him tied up, so his face just hit the cement.
That was you? I've heard that story.
What's crazy is that
my mom beat the shit out of me.
I remember all of that up until like when my face hit the curb.
Yeah.
I just blacked out
because he had a concussion. He has CTE now. See, my bad.
Thanks to Jamie.
So I was done.
Was that just you, or you guys other cousins?
I think it was just me, but I don't know.
No, I mean we were all together around that time, but I mean everybody has done something.
Yeah, so we've all. I've tied up a cousin before. It wasn't cool, but
I mean, but those are memories that and I even had this talk with him the other day. Those are memories that I cherish. Because it's just like I don't have. I mean, I have a brother and a sister, but I'm not really as close with them because they all do their own thing.
Oh, by the way, he didn't get out. No.
Now he was on the floor, hog-tied on the floor.
I was hopping all the way to the front door, and they saw me bleeding. So. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, those are memories that I just, those memories that I cherish. Yeah. And it somewhat, still makes me somewhat of a stronger person than I am today. Also, because I reflect on a lot of those things that I've been through with my cousins, whether they were good or bad. Yeah. They were great.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, we were always messing with each other or playing hot peas and butter or something.
What's hot peas and butter? Hot peas and what?
Hot peas and butter.
I've never heard that. Is that an East Coast game?
I guess
I've never heard of it.
So when the game you play, you hide something and you say hot or cold, right? You know that game.
Okay,
right? Yeah. So you play this outside, but you hide a belt.
Okay.
And then so one person hides the belt.
Okay.
And then everybody else is looking for it.
Yeah.
So, you can hide it under a tire or something, but the strategy is to pretend like you didn't find it and wait till everybody's close to you. So then you find the belt and you get it and you get to whip them with the belt until they get to base.
Yo, I'm telling you.
And then everybody gets to base, and then next round the person hides the belt and does it all over.
Damn, that's a brutal game.
No, it's fun.
It builds up a lot of integrity or a lot of
I remember his sister. One time we were playing, and she was always the one. It's like we always say, "Don't play Dawn because you're gonna something. It's always gonna be something with you." So she was playing one time, and our cousin David, I remember he found the belt. Everybody got to base except for her. So he hit her. So he's in between her. He's in between her and the base, right? Yeah. So she has to get past him to get to base. Yeah. So she goes, and lunges a little bit, and he whack gets her. And so we're all watching, and she got hit like 4 or 5 times. We're like, just run one time. You're gonna get hit once and touch the base. You already got hit 5 times.
Yeah.
And then it's just keep go a little bit, lunge and whack. Yeah. And then she's like, I don't want to play anymore. You guys are, it's like.
Oh man. So now she's into some other Stranger Things, huh? Yeah. Due to that.
Probably.
Yeah,
oh
no,
man,
I
that's his
wouldn't
sister.
deny it. But yeah.
Speaking of Stranger Things, I saw a little bit of your Instagram. You don't have that. You don't post that many pictures up, or maybe it's a recent Instagram. But
No, yeah,
you have some, but not like. I mean, you see some people's
Yeah.
Instagrams. They post like 4 or 10 a day.
no, yeah.
You're not 10 a day.
I
Right now,
used
but,
to be on that, well, I had a page before that.
Okay, so this is more
yeah,
newer.
Yeah, so
All right.
so the page before that was just all about the promotion of my competing, my coaching, my fitness and health. And that was about I took that down about about 2 years ago because I was very focused, as I said,
Right.
as a parent. But during that time, that was around the time where like social media wasn't even kicking off crazy with the health and fitness and stuff. And I had about like over like 10,000 followers.
Oh,
Wow.
damn.
And I was really big. I had a big sponsor through Allmax. They're a really big company, protein supplements.
Yeah.
And at one point, I felt like me and my daughter's mother separated, and it took a little toll on me with that.
Yeah.
I felt like I just need to focus more on just being a parent, and that's when I took my page down and stuff. But I've had my page now. I had the page that I have now for about like 2.5, 3 years now. I don't post much because my work speaks for itself in person, and it never fails whenever I'm in the gym and I'm either like training a client or the type of training that I'm doing. I'm always approachable.
Yeah.
And people just approach me and they're just like, what is it that you're doing? And stuff like that. And it's things like that that give me the mindset to think like, I don't need the social media to make me the person that I already am.
Right.
Yeah. So I post pictures here and there.
10,000 followers is. Because you're not, like I said, you're not using that.
Yeah.
Medium anymore as far as social media to get you build up your status, but 10,000 followers is 10,000 people right now pay money for that stuff. You know what I mean?
Get those likes.
And this was when Instagram just started like building.
So it wasn't even as popular. So 10,000 is probably
like,
the number today would probably be ridiculous.
Yeah.
40, 50, who knows, whatever.
It
Do you regret it?
In some sort of ways, I definitely regret it because now it's like after the birth of my daughter and being in her life, to really understand more about what it is to be a parent. After I started to understand that, after my daughter turned like 2-3 years old, I'm like, okay, now it's like now I can get back into the passion that I have because my daughter is pretty good. Me and her mom are at a good understanding to where I have the time to do that now for myself. And it's just like, I think back like, as if it was like how it was now, and now it's like with Instagram, you can delete your page and you can come back to it in like months later.
Yeah.
But
Put
when
it
I
on
first
pause.
delete it, it was just like, you can't get that shit back.
Yeah, it's gone.
Like,
that's it. No recovery no more. Yeah.
So I definitely regret that a little bit, but some of my sources still haven't changed, and I have some great resources right now to put me where I'm at.
You were saying that you were, doing your fitness and you're approachable, because that reminded me of something you told me a couple weeks ago, the difference between New York and here, and I'm sure you see, and it reminds me, why I live here.
Oh, yeah.
But, when you were telling me, I think like the first couple times you went to the gym, like people just, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was telling my cousin, I want to say probably like 3 days after I was like already out here and I was working out, I guess I start to see, what the Southern lifestyle is. I see how people dress, excuse me, the dressing is different from the lifestyle in New York, and that goes to follow with the gym. So when I'm in the gym, I'm in how I always dress, because I'm always dressed like one of those elite athletes that's ready to go, Nike'd up and everything.
Okay, yeah.
And I see people in the gym and they're dressed just, regular, whatever. Yeah. And, the way I train, I train pretty explosives. A lot of my stuff, it's just hands-on. It's mostly body weight training. So, a manager of LA Fitness in Santa Ana on East 17th approached me and it was just like, you're not from around here because we never seen you, but I'm digging your lifestyle, I'm digging your training style, where are you from? And then as soon as I spoke, he was like, okay, you're definitely not from California. So I told him I was from New York and stuff.
It's like, you from Texas?
and really quick, the guy, he started being very intrigued with my style and that, I was only out here just visiting, but at the same time, I informed him I'm out here on a one-way just to enjoy my summer. And then he ended up just offering me job interview. He's just like, hey, if we could use someone of your style in this type of gym.
Right.
So if you're interested, here's my number. He gave we exchanged numbers, and then he just told me, whenever you're ready, just let me know. I'll set you up.
There you go.
And that right there, it gave me even more of an open mind. From feeling like how I am in New York City, and being out here, and just in a couple of days, it just made me open myself a lot more to really think okay, what I could really have, the possibilities of doing something even more beneficial for myself outside New York, like in the state.
So you're
of
actually
California.
considering
maybe
staying out here?
I am, because you know what, my dream has always been like, after experiencing like my gate weighing and like my competitiveness to compete, and like the ups and downs of what it took for me to get there, to hit that stage.
Yeah.
That really stuck with me, to put it in me to be like, what, I could see myself opening up a little studio someday.
Yeah, your own thing.
And and in New York, it's it's that same drive and passion, but I feel like it's like triple the work, because it's like it's a crazy grind out there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the expenses are, it's a little similar to out here.
Yeah.
But you can move at your own pace out here, and you can do it how you want to. Out there in New York, it's like you feel like you're in a rush to get
somebody's
it done.
behind you, pushing you, go, or something.
Yeah, so.
Do you feel like just walking down the street in New York compared to walking down the street in California? Do you just you feel different inside?
No. Of course, yeah. And that's something that I tell them too all the time. Like even when I first landed out here, I'm like, the air is so much fresher. It's so much fresher.
It's all that good
smog.
New
York,
positive energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's things like positive energy off of people out here that make me feel more alive than I already do in New York.
Yeah.
I see people clear about the cleanliness of their environment. The people that I see in the gym, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people in the gym, as it, just like in New York, but I really see people out here really dedicating themselves to make a change.
Yeah. They're there not just to let everybody else see them there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how it is in New York. There's a lot of people there that just let them see that you're there, and there's people there that are conversating with each other, and that's because these people out there in New York, they feel like they're in just such a rush with their lives that they don't have the time to really stop and focus on themselves for a minimum of like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I see the difference out here, and being out here, it feels great.
Let me ask you this. Now that you're considering it and everything, how's that role gonna play back home with like your daughter?
Oh no, that's a great question. That you asked that, because even before,
I'm sure you've thought of it.
No, no, of course.
Yeah.
Even before even coming out here, I always think to myself the relationship that I have with my daughter's mother is always gonna be based on how I do with myself, where I go. And I've had that talk with her. And we've been separated about 4 years now, and I put a lot of work in to really get the respect from her, to be at a good mutual parenting agreement.
Right, which is very important.
Yeah,
in your daughter's life. Yeah.
And I think that her being very supportive, first before anyone else.
Yeah.
Is my biggest concern, because my daughter comes first before anything. So when she understood that, and she supported it, she already started to explain somewhat of it to my daughter. And I started to explain certain things to her about what's around here, and not just about the environment, but Disneyland's out here. It's a good community out here too. I can always feel like I can bring my daughter and not really feel as worried as I would be in New York City, because New York City people don't really care if they how they take care of themselves.
Yeah, you got to be wise. It's like you always got to turn around and what's behind me, because you never know.
So it really, New York is. I've never been. Like I said, it really is something that you got to look out for. Like, is it that scary?
No,
or
okay,
it can be.
No,
or
it
certain
can
areas,
be.
but
I'll even give you a good example. Labor Day last year, I think I told my cousin the story. Labor Day last year, go out with a couple friends. We go out to a nice club. It's in the Dominican area. I don't think too much of it because I've been there before. It's a big party scene. It reminds me of
Coachella. No, I'm just
It reminds me of downtown Fullerton.
Okay.
Okay, so you have like crowds of people like that. There's many venues around there, you know, clubs, lounges, many venues. So we go out there to a club Labor Day weekend, and me and my friend, we end up getting followed for a couple miles after like the whole club was over.
Yeah.
And then you know, my friend ended up you know, getting held at gunpoint.
Wow.
And it's things like that. I mean, luckily nothing happened. No one was injured. You know, we were safe. But you know, it's things like that.
That's
just,
like the community versus the community, right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you. And I'm pretty sure, you know, things like that happen everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, like when I put myself around like an environment like out here, it's not like it's nothing like New York City, because New York City is like Los Angeles. So you know, people tell me, oh, what's the difference from New York City to LA, you know, stuff. But they, you know, people never really experience Southern California.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I have. Like, you know, you'll have Santa Ana next to each other, Costa Mesa and stuff. But in New York City, every part of those neighborhoods are just like
intertwined.
Nobody cares about the environment. It's trash everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like cars are backed up with each other.
And it's more. Is
like
it more
that.
territorial too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Like you're not like that. You know, this is our hood kind of thing.
I mean,
there's areas like that over here too. But
race-wise, I wouldn't really say, but more like like gang.
Right.
The territory,
yeah, the territory. Like this is our street kind of thing, you know. Like
it's not like you see like in the movies.
Like before,
well, no, you think like L.A. like, oh, who's that walking? It's not that.
It's not that. No, it's not that.
Okay.
It's not like that.
I mean, tell you, the biggest fear that we have here in San Gabriel Valley right now, in West Covina and Covina, is when you're walking out in the middle street, is maybe a coyote.
Oh,
passing.
I thought you were gonna say the pit bull going to pet him.
that was my biggest problem. The pit bull.
That's a good
fucking
one.
pit bull.
No,
yeah, coyotes is probably our biggest thing.
And
and
you know, just being around this area, seeing that, you know, it's at a pace that I feel
you vibe with. Yeah.
I'm at, you know, more peace and calm with myself.
Yeah.
And not feeling like I have to rush into anything.
Right.
And I had that same feeling when I was living in Pennsylvania, because I was living in an area called Tobiana, which is like the Poconos out there. And you know, it was like a suburbish type area, and there was people that, you know, they cared more about themselves and their environment more
relaxed environment.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to bring that back, relaxed.
Oh.
And you know, I always saw myself as wanting to be in that type of area.
Yeah.
And, you know, the older I get, and you know, I'm 34. People tell me I'm still young and I can, you know, live wild and stuff, but I already know what I want for myself.
Yeah.
You know?
I still feel 24.
I'm
not even joking.
You look 24.
I know. Yeah.
And most of that comes with just
moisturizing.
Most of that comes with having a better future for my daughter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, that's good.
So.
Yeah, because if you're not happy, like, what? It's just gonna, you know, extend to her. She's gonna see it. It's like, hey, daddy's always irritable or whatever, or daddy's always happy. Hey, which one? Which one do you want?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be a big change, a long travel for your daughter, but you know, I mean, and for yourself going back there, but
I did it. I lived in New York. My dad lived in California.
True, very true. And
where am I now?
Exactly. And I know Paul's not a stranger to traveling, as I've seen some of your photos. You were in Thailand.
Yeah, man.
You did that Thailand trip. How was that?
Thailand was an experience.
Did you go for a certain specific reason, or did you just went because let me just go?
An experience, man. It was just
how long did you plan to go to Thailand?
Wait, did you get another one-way ticket to Thailand? What's with you and these one-way tickets?
That's a good one. Well, so we planned for that. Me and my friend Carlos, we planned for that in August, and the trip was for October.
Wow, that's pretty short for
a big
out of country.
Yeah.
Because
you ever gone overseas before that?
Canada, really, but
that's right there. Yeah,
and he went
much,
with sports and stuff.
But that was my first real international trip, and that was, I mean, it was something that, I mean, it wasn't long planned. It was very short planned. You know, we planned in August to leave for October, and like I told you, you know, the way I grew up with my friends, it's just like everything's so fast paced. We roll with the rush. We don't really plan.
Yeah.
So it's just like if we
figure it out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. we
Fuck the itinerary. We don't need an itinerary.
We were just like, yo, let's just book the flights.
Yeah.
We get out there, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we did. As soon as we landed to China at first, we had like a 13-hour layover in China.
Yeah.
Amazing out there. Had 13-hour layover out there.
That's a good layover. To experience another country, 13
So you got to leave the airport.
Yeah.
Go.
We left the airport. We hit the markets for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
We just
bought
hit
an
some
iPhone.
Food. We just hit
for
some
$5
food markets. Like if it would have been more like a 24-hour layover, we were really trying to hit the Great Wall.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been dope. Yeah.
Yeah, we were really trying. So that's
was it far?
That's something that's still on my bucket list. It was about a 3-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
So
Because China's huge,
but just the fact that it was a 3-hour drive there and a 3-hour drive back, that's 6 hours alone. So that just gives us like a 4-hour gap.
You're like, nah.
Have time to do anything. So we put that on the bucket list.
Yeah.
But we got to experience some food in China, which was good.
Yeah.
And then we went to Thailand.
So do they call it Chinese food over there, or they just call it food?
No, no.
Sorry. They just call it food. Yeah.
I gotta laugh at that. No, because nobody really presents it like that. No, people really approach it as and it's.
I mean, you didn't go over there and say, "Can I get some Chinese food?"
Yeah.
Right?
It surprised me that people actually, spoke the language. It surprised me that people understood.
Yeah,
I bet it's because
English. Yeah.
Get that money for
that
that tourism.
You have to, tourism.
Yeah.
Now, in China and Thailand, were you approached as a tourist, or did they? I mean, obviously you're not.
No, of course they knew we were tourists.
Yeah.
Well, I had one friend who was he's half Irish and he's half Asian. So he was our only Asian friend, and he didn't speak the language, but they still.
But everybody came up and talked to him first.
Everybody came up and talked to him first, and then he put their hands up real quick and just expressed it to him. I mean, it was a funny laugh for the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got to experience that, and then we went to Thailand. So the first day we get to Thailand, I'm not sure if I spoke to this story about you, but the first day we get to Thailand, mind you, we're going with the flow. The whole way we're just going.
How many of you
We
guys?
have, it's 4 of us.
4 of you.
Me and 3 of my friends.
Which is considered a gang in most countries.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was 4 of us, and this is our first day there. We just going with the flow. As soon as we landed, we booked the Airbnb. So we'll wait.
So the Airbnb is just you, or are you sharing it?
We're sharing with 3 of us.
No, I mean, but with people you don't know.
No.
Oh, just you guys.
Like a hostel you talking about?
No, okay.
No, it was just
because I know, like, they have the Airbnb. You could rent a couple rooms, and then the other rooms are being occupied.
I mean, I've seen hostel. I'm not down with the hostel thing.
I'm not trying to be a victim.
No thanks. I like my organs.
Yeah.
So the first day we get out there, and we're just going with the flow. We booked the Airbnb, so we're killing a couple hours off before we check in. And it's only then that I really notice, and then I really start to do my search, that it's just really a town of like lady boys. So I didn't really know much about it. I mean,
you guys planned that.
My boy's telling me that he knew whatever, but I mean, he didn't really mention of it because we were going to a specific island in Thailand, and that was for like 2-3 days after our original stay there. So the first day there, we're in Bangkok.
Yeah.
And
no pun intended.
And we check into the Airbnb after a couple hours, and then we hit the strip. We hit a strip called Khao San Road, which is it's like the #1 avenue known for their street market food.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's the actual avenue that played in the Hangover movie.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
So we got to go there. We got to experience their food. We're interacting with other tourists because it's a pretty big area that
a lot of tourists over there.
A lot of tourists that were from Europe because it's right there. So
closer.
There's a lot of people from Europe out there. And we were interacting, we were getting to know, we were networking with some people, and this is the first day. So the first day we're out there, usually me and my one friend that we always that you'll see pictures of me and him on Instagram that we travel a lot, just me and him. It was us 2 out of the 4 of the group, and we're usually the ones not to get so drunk on the first day. Yeah. Because usually we've had bad experiences in different trips, so we're like, okay, this is the first day, we're not gonna get too crazy, too excited, but. This was me and 2 of my other friends' first time traveling internationally.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, you know what? The Airbnb is maybe like 15, 20 minutes away. Whatever, we can get a little drunk, whatever. So we started drinking. We started drinking all these drinks that they have out there.
And you don't know nothing familiar?
Nothing really familiar.
So you don't know
really,
what it's gonna do to you.
The only thing that's really familiar was really like the Jack Daniels.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't really want to try that, you know, because it's just.
You're like, I don't need to get hammered right now.
I don't need to get hammered that much right now. So you know, taking some sake bombs and stuff, and then we started drinking. I forgot what the name of this tequila was, but just 2 shots of that alone, and I already started feeling it.
Yeah.
And my friend ended up going to get the tattoo at the same shop that was in the Hangover movie.
The face tattoo,
the face tattoo,
the Tyson
same one,
Yeah.
but he got one, you know, of his wife's initials, which was pretty dope.
On his face?
On his face.
No.
Oh.
She was like, honey, if you love me, you put it on your face.
On his hand. So
Okay.
it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's...
In English?
It's all, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in English. I'm not sure if you guys heard about it.
Rusty Knuckles.
Yeah.
I think it was Ariana Grande that went to Thailand and got a tattoo of something that was in
yeah.
Thai language.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even what she wanted.
Oh,
Right,
they got her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Got her.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
So you know, after a couple hours of just partying and having fun, you know, we ended up splitting into twos because, you know, 2 of my friends ended up picking up some locals and they were just hanging.
Wait.
Some dudes?
Lady boys?
No, it was actually locals. It was actually tourists from
okay.
Europe. But
I got you.
they would.
Yeah.
To them, you know, to us, it seemed like locals because they're saying that they're always, you know, that they're always in Thailand.
That's their spot.
That's their spot. They were telling the spot what to drink and stuff. So whatever. We gotta do
And you
that.
never seen them again.
Never seen them.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about your friends.
Oh, for the rest of that night, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because after a few hours, we ended up splitting up, and it was me and the Asian looking one.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I'll keep him with me in case it happens.
Safety net.
He looks more like he blends in
The
with
token
Thailand,
Asian.
So
Yeah.
they won't fuck with me.
Yeah.
So we ended up splitting up, and we're going back to our hotel, and there's no Lyft, there's no Uber out there. There's something that's called a tuk-tuk.
A tuk-tuk?
Ooh, that doesn't
tuk-tuk.
sound right.
That doesn't sound good at
So
all in
it's
Thailand.
like
Sounds like a little
It's
in and
like-
out procedure.
Yeah.
it's like a squared matchbox seating
Yeah.
with like the motorcycle in the front. And it
Oh,
just
almost like a
carries you.
rickshaw,
Oh, okay.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Similar to
but
it.
just motorized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and my friend, we get to our destination only to find out that we're still like a half a mile away from like where we're going. So now they drop us off, or when we drop us off, me and my friend, our phones died.
Oh.
And in the roads of Thailand, there's like one light every mile, 2 fucking miles.
So you
Yeah.
can't know your bearings.
So I was a little bit, somewhat of a bitch. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to die.
Somewhat of a bitch.
I'm like, man, we're going to
Yeah.
die. What the fuck? And
Yeah.
I'm gonna die in Thailand.
I'm a little drunk off these sake bombs, and my
Yeah.
boy was just like, he said something in Asian, which was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you saying? He's like, shut the fuck up, Paulie. And I'm like, I'm drunk out my ass.
Yeah.
And we probably we gave up after like a half hour of searching for
Yeah.
the place, just to sit down for like 20 minutes and realize that like
It was-
like 15 feet away it was right there. But that's because we couldn't see it. I'm talking
Yeah.
like it was
There's no
like,
street lights or
no
anything.
It was just
streetlights.
pitch black.
It was bad. It was bad.
Damn.
It was bad. But that's because we planted ourselves in Bangkok, and Bangkok is like it's like South Central.
Oh, is
Oh,
No, trust me.
it?
It's
Oh,
like
really?
it's the hood.
It's
It's
the
the hood.
in-
It's the
of
hood.
Thai.
yeah.
And that was our first date.
So you didn't know
you
what
know,
to expect.
We didn't know what to expect. We ended up getting there, and maybe like 5 hours later, after my phone got charged and stuff, my boy calls me, and this is like 3 a.m. So it's a 12-hour difference out here. So 3 a.m. out there is 3 in the
Yeah.
afternoon. He's hitting me up. He's just like, yo, Paulie, I'm lost. I don't know where the fuck am I at.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm on 5%. I don't know what to do. And his phone dies, and then like next thing you know, like an hour later, I get a phone call from like a Thailand number, and I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he sounds more panicked than I was. He's like, yo, P, I don't know what happened to Danny, which is the other boy that he split up with. He's like, yo, I don't know what happened to him, but I don't even care. I'm using some Thailand dude's phone. Get me out of here, please. And, we ended up finding him and stuff, and we got back. But that was the first night, and it was,
And you guys never left each other's side the whole rest of the trip.
That sounds like a hangover movie on its own right
We
there.
didn't. After that, I was like,
They didn't find
I'm not
Doug.
doing this.
They didn't find Doug.
I'm not doing this again. I'm like, yo.
Did you guys find Din?
Danny.
Danny?
Yeah.
Oh.
Danny. We ended up finding Danny.
You really gave him an Asian name. Damn.
Tuk Tuk Din.
You'll be watching this.
Yeah. So where'd you guys find Danny at?
He doesn't tell us that.
Oh.
He doesn't tell us this, but
he doesn't want to tell you
but
everything, the whole story.
2 months before we planned the trip,
Yeah.
he met some girl from Thailand.
Oh, he had an agenda.
So he had the agenda.
Yeah.
And he met some girl from Thailand online, and he ended up.
So he's the one that planned the trip.
No, he's not the one that planned the
Oh,
trip.
he planted the seed. He made them think they were planning the trip, but he.
But he was already planting the seed to
Yeah.
like have something out there, and he ended up having something because by the time we see him the next morning, you know, he comes in all luxury, with
Bright-eyed, bushy
cigar
tail.
in his mouth with the sun, with the sunglasses, looking like Biggie because that's how he looks in my pictures. I mean, he really looks like Biggie Smalls.
yeah.
I mean, he's like that. He fits that figure.
He's in the hypnotized video with
Telling
the
you,
cane.
he fits that figure. And we're looking at him, and he's all happy because he's just having, he ended up having the night of his life while most of us got lost and almost died by some lady boys and shit. We were just like, but I mean, that first night kicked off a great adventure.
How long were you guys there?
We were out there. We were in Bangkok for 3 days, and then we were in a small island called Phuket
Yeah, I've heard of that.
for about.
I think of
4 days.
some MMA fighters go over there to train
And
Muay Thai.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
That's-
Mike Swick has a
Swick.
gym over there. Yeah.
They have a lot of big like Muay Thai fights out there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
those
So,
guys have fight all the time.
like my whole duration out there. I tried to hit the gym once, but every single gym I would try to go to was a Muay Thai gym.
They said nah.
So they're like, oh, okay, you could do you gotta do a class first.
oh, they're gonna kick the
And
shit
then
out of you.
They were like, you gotta do a class first, like 45-minute class first, and then we have the free weights. But no gym, allowed you to have just a free session. Like there was no 24-hour fitnesses. It was nothing like that. It was just straight Muay Thai gym. You do a quick class, and then you do whatever workout you want to do.
They had to initiate you in.
You gotta
before
get kicked. You gotta get kicked in the head before you can
And
work.
I was like, no, I mean, I was seeing all these videos. I was seeing like they have all these little tournaments and stuff. And I wasn't down for that. But I was watching.
They were gonna put him in the Kumite.
It was an experience.
All these dudes with cut up shins.
Yeah.
It was an experience, man. That's probably one of the best places I've been.
Nice.
So
That's
far
cool.
out there.
Thailand, dude. Phuket, huh?
Yeah.
Phuket.
Phuket is a pretty. I mean, it's a small island inside Thailand. But
So is there a happy
it's
ending
really
with your boy?
beautiful. It's really beautiful.
He married her.
I mean, he didn't tell us much about it, but I mean, he told us some stories. I mean, it seemed like he had a better night than we did.
And you?
Yeah.
But part of that, journey in Bangkok before even going to Phuket, I was telling my cousin I experienced some like late nights walking in the streets just to explore. And it's just like, man, I mean, it's worse than anything I've ever seen. It's like
What kind of confidence did you get from it, though?
It's just like confident to know that I love women. But,
Wow.
That's a good confidence.
It was something I've never.
Not that
seen.
you ever had any doubt, right?
No.
Since that,
You crazy? Never. But
No,
I mean,
okay. No, I'm just
But just being out there, I mean, that's a country that's known for like people that do surgeries for stuff like that.
Yeah, you guys still booked the vacation trip out there.
Still we booked it because we just wanted to explore, and just the island of Phuket alone was worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of a poor country.
Yeah.
But it's like 36-1 for your dollar.
Oh wow.
It's amazing.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. See, we have a friend, that wants to. When he gets married, his best friend wants to take him out to Thailand for his bachelor party, and I'm like, Rudy, and I'm like,
I definitely have
I don't know,
I
man.
definitely have some recommendations. That'll keep you out the out the lady boy zone.
Yeah. Stay away from Bangkok. Go straight to
I'm
Phuket.
telling you, man.
Lady boy free zone.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, as we bring this to an end here, this interview, what is your goal, your end game here, as far as just with everything, your training in general, you're competing maybe, or?
Well, just in general with my life, my lifetime goal is just to continue to be better than who I was, better than I am every single day, better than what I was, lifting, better than who I was, learning the knowledge that I've learned already. I still want to experience more, and I still know that there's still so much out there that I can learn from. Even if there's someone that's just as average, there's something that he could know that I wouldn't know, that just doing what I can to like learn and get the knowledge that I can to pursue what I want, and I'm really dedicated into like wanting to open up this studio. I know the tools that it takes. It's a lot of patience that I have to have. And I'm only 34, and I see a lot of these people that they build their businesses from the ground up, and they don't really explode until like they're late 30s, 40s and stuff. And when I'm in that New York state of mind, I want it now. But like when I'm in the atmosphere like out here in California, I feel like I don't need to rush.
Enjoy the journey.
I can have it and enjoy it at the same time. I don't have to rush and stress myself out. And then when I have it, it's just like I have it. No, I'm gonna enjoy having it like the way I want to.
Yeah, I think that's a good value to have and bring over from the East Coast, from New York, is that gritty, take no shit mentality and attitude, and then you bring it over here and make it your own.
Yeah, you see a lot of people. I mean, you just going anywhere. If they're not from California,
right.
You can tell.
Yeah.
And they could still be the nicest people, or they could still be dicks. Either way,
right.
But yes.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Well, I think like you just said right now, making yourself better every single day, in the grand scheme of things, in the long run, you're just gonna be a better person.
Yeah, you benefit more.
Way more. Mm-hmm. Every single day that you make yourself better. Little steps, right?
And you appreciate yourself, right? Like you appreciate life more that way.
Yeah.
Because life was not made to rush through it. You know.
Yeah, now get to the finish line and enjoy
we miss out on all the in between.
It's a marathon,
Yeah. There you go, man. Jamie, you got anything?
I'm good.
Oh, hey, I'm good, man. Well, thanks a lot for being here.
I appreciate you guys having me.
I wish you the best of luck on everything.
Appreciate them.
And maybe you stick around here and bring your studio here.
Definitely.
There you go. All right. Well, there you have it. Talking Again podcast. The Tap.